eventually got sold into. But Kunal Bothra is here in the studios. Kunal, hi, good morning. What's it looking like today?
So I think it could be a slight bias on the positive side, and I would expect the markets to hold on to the opening gains, at least the 70-75 point uptick for the index. Maybe I think the fag end of the session, because I think we've come back to slight lower levels in terms of the pivot for the index. So we've been discussing the range of 25,500 to 26,000 on the Nifty. We came slightly lower than the midpoint or the pivot point of this 500 point range for the index. No change in stance in terms of the open interest for the index futures. So for example, just a very meager 0.09% reduction of open interest on the Nifty, and very similar kind of contracts for the bank Nifty. So that indicates that no major change of stance has happened for the index traders. So I think in that sense, we would probably expect the markets to just about trade into this band of 500 points and maybe move back to the midpoint or the pivot point of this 500 point range.
Kunal, how do you look at Reliance? If you look at the stock, down nearly 7% this month since the beginning of the year, and we have an earnings at the end of the day today. So how is it looking?
So Reliance has this very odd habit of going into the results in a different direction and then surprising, post results. The only thing which we can attribute on the charts, Sajid, is that the stock at current levels, where it's trading right now after this 140-50 point cut, is at an oversold territory on the hourly indicators. So if in case the stock drops down, say post results, I don't expect too much of a materialistic downside, and that drop could be bought into for the stock price. So what we are looking out for Reliance Industries broadly is that the current levels of 1450 thereabouts could be a pivot. So in case if the stock swings say 40-50 points lower, then it could be an opportunity for traders to buy. But if it moves up on the higher side, then we may attribute that this 1450 levels could be a good support.
Your picks for this morning, Kunal?
So two buy calls. NTPC is something which pops up on the radar in terms of a breakout. We were discussing about ONGC etc. Previous week, but I would now believe that NTPC could be another candidate of a breakout in terms of the short-term aspect. Excellent volumes for the stock in the last 1 week and 2 days, where the stock had shown some very strong price and volume candlestick pattern. So would look out for targets in the range of 372 for NTPC. Stop loss could be kept at 340. And PNB, many of the PSU banking stocks made a very strong comeback, of course led by the likes of Union Bank, etc. But PNB is also one of the other stocks which managed to break out above 120, 125 kind of a hurdle. So look out for targets in the range of 135, stop loss at 124.
Kunal, some of the big movers in trade on Wednesday were metal counters. Some very sharp moves. You believe rally can sustain?
Yeah, so maybe not immediately today, because what happened was the likes of Tata Steel, JSW Steel, etc. They went into slight overbought territory on Wednesday itself, and from there they sort of cooled off. So which means you're looking at a near-term resistance being attached for many of these metal stocks. But then the trend what we are seeing for the last 1 week, 1 month, 3 months for the metal names is extremely strong, and we are looking at this as going into the entire 2026. That a major part of the metal rally should continue.
Okay, so Kunal, what individual stocks would you recommend to our viewers today then?
So, two buy calls. The first one which I would suggest would be NTPC. That's an interesting name to look out for in terms of a price volume breakout. Would look out for targets in the range of 372 and stop loss at 340. And same is the case with PNB. Many of the PSU banking names looks extremely attractive. So 135 is a target, stop loss 124.
And what about some IT names? Very quickly, Kunal, with regard to an Infosys, the numbers came out, so I'm trying to get a sense, and some of the names were under pressure on Wednesday.
So yeah, I think looking at the Tuesday, Wednesday session, it looks like that maybe the IT stocks are still yet to settle. But I'm assuming that if post-Infi, the outlook starts to become a little positive, then we may look at some buying coming back into the IT stocks. As of now, no major built-up of open interest which happened on Wednesday, and that's why you see the ADR prices also for Infosys jumping up, because it's taken the market by a little bit of a surprise. So let's hope that the stock sustains today's gap up, and if it does, then we are looking at a near-term base or a support for IT index.
What you mentioned banks, but two private banks, ICICI Bank and HDFC Bank, the tail is totally different. Yeah. ICICI Bank up nearly 500% in this month alone, and HDFC Bank down 600% in this month alone. And the earnings are coming tomorrow. So how are they looking on the charts?
Yeah, so so out of the entire pack of banking names, there is one set of PSU banking names doing very well. Within the private sector banking names, IndusInd Bank is at a multi-month high. Kotak Bank is just now, I think, post a special situation, is trading just about into a mediocre trading range. Axis Bank has come back into a breakout. So that stock has crossed 1300 levels on Friday. So on Wednesday rather. So I think now we are looking at a point where many of these private sector banking stocks are trying to just offset the losses which are there because of HDFC Bank and ICICI Bank. But you can't have a point where these private sector banking stocks, HDFC and ICICI, they can keep on dragging for a prolonged period of time. There's got to be a point where these stocks will bottom out, and then I think the buying would probably happen much more stronger for the entire banking index. I would sense that ICICI Bank is coming back into that latter part where there is some sort of a buying which is emerging. Yes, the net numbers for the stock is negative, but then when I look at this from the relative bottoms, 1330 was where ICICI Bank was, I think in December. Now we are almost at 1400, 1420 range for ICICI Bank. So we've moved up higher from that range. It's just that there is a lack of momentum which is pushing the stock to try and convert this minor bounce into a trend.
Okay.